Good morning. It's morning for me. It's 9:36 a.m. It's the 13th of August. Now, we've talked a number of times about emotions, allowing for your emotions to be your master. Emotions make good slaves but terrible masters. We've also talked a number of times about the black and white chessboard dynamic, the many meanings of that one symbol. A symbol is worth 1,000 words, because a symbol is indeed a picture. And although you're taught many basic things about the meaning of that symbol, one thing that's usually left out is that is to symbolize the black brotherhoods and the white brotherhoods of so-called black people and so-called white people, because we're not black and you're not white. Okay? But it's a way to make us identify as opposites. And there is an unseen hand that rules both sides of the chessboard. So what we see happening right now in Ferguson, in the St. Louis area, is a direct result of this, and we've talked about it a number of times. I don't believe that anyone who comes to the channel, any of the members of the temple, are simple. And I believe that nobody that has really been paying attention can organically, honestly and sincerely fall for this particular ploy. And when I say it's a ploy, I mean it's always sad when we find the untimely death of a boy, and when that death is at the hands of the authorities, of the so-called authorities, who are used to police the policy holders, to protect the policy holders, to protect and serve them. Okay, to serve, protect, and break a poor person's neck is what they really are all about, period. Young men get smoked and provoked, harassed by them every day. But when you see the media, whose job is never to inform us as much as it is to get us informed, to put us in a particular formation, to get everyone to thinking along a certain line and feeling a certain type of way. So when you see the media pushing a particular thing, you better believe that there's some sort of large play. All right? There is a play at work. And I look for some of the signs and symbols that you usually tell on these particular type of stories, and it's hard to deal with this because of the emotions that are involved. People are really mad. People are really upset. Okay? It ain't no game. All right? When some people looked at some things concerning the Trayvon Martin incident, killing, sacrifice, hoax, people call it many different things, but when people examine that with the conspiracy eye, we begin to see some things. And as people examine this with the conspiracy eye, I predict the same thing is going to happen. I looked at just a couple of things, and I've not looked at it thoroughly, so this is going to be short. It's just to get your mind working, okay? When your emotions are being played off of, you don't think clearly. You know this. It's true about sex. It's true about violence. You know it's true. People pushing your emotions, you won't think clearly. So emotions are being pushed, and the media is, as usual, playing their role in pushing the emotions. You have right-wing media, you have left-wing media, you have primarily Republicans and those who feel a certain way about the impoverished listening to Fox and their coverage. And then you have, for the other side of the bird, left wing, right wing, same demonic bird. For the other side of the bird, you have CNN, more liberal, or they might be considered middle of the road. But MSNBC, CNN, their coverage will take the other end. And like the old folks used to call it, is playing both ends against the middle. Problem, reaction, solution, Hegelian dialectic. It's called many different things, but it's to produce doublethink and desired results in people's behavior. It's part of behavior modification programming. So why would they want people to be mad and upset and rioting and looting? We've talked about this a number of times. All right. If indeed there was an event that played out the way that media is telling us, and we know that does not have to be so. They often will tell us things that are not true in order to get the desired reaction, to get people to do what the powers that be want them to. Have we not learned anything from the 67 riots here in Detroit? Tore Detroit up. A lot of times when they showing y'all stuff in Detroit, they showing you areas that was already damaged during the riots, okay, or from the result of the riots, the white flight that followed the riots. A lot of businessmen and women took their businesses elsewhere after the riots, and some of them, to get insurance money, burned their businesses down. And some of those places have been standing for over 30 years now, over 40 years now. Yes, indeed. So you see the result of riots. You see the result of the insurrection or the revolution in LA, the LA riots. I remember that well. Okay, I was a young man and didn't have the wisdom that gray hairs can put on your head, in your head. And of course I was all for it. Tear it up. Didn't understand that is the desired reaction that the elite want the impoverished to have, because all it ever results in is brothers and sisters being locked up or being knocked up upside the head, okay, by the occupying army that is the police. Okay, I feel like NWA do about them, or did about them anyway. But at the same time, I don't like to be manipulated. When I see somebody's trying to get me to go right, I'm gonna make it my business to go left. I know that, brother, but now's not the time. I'll get back with him. But everything in divine order, right? That just reminds me I need to contact him. But yes, so we're seeing a play. Somebody trying to force things one way, okay, to get them to go another way. And this is a very unique design, okay, because it works. It plays off of people's emotions, all right? Now, we're told there were eyewitnesses to the shooting, okay? So that kind of takes away some of what we can usually see in some of these contrived events, all right, or some of the things we can usually say, all right. You know, usually we jump to, well, it didn't even happen, okay. According to eyewitnesses, a young man was shot, all right, and done unjustly. The police never have a right to exercise that type of force on essentially a child. But again, see, can't be game goofy. We need to look down into some things the same way folks did with the Trayvon thing, which made my spidey senses tingle from day one with that. Because I saw certain people coming out trying to show their support that I know don't care nothing about us. They don't really care about us. Pac and Mike had it right. So when you see that, when you see the brotherhood members and the leaders of certain movements and, you know, the self-styled leaders of the new school of so-called civil rights, when you see them stepping out and using their platform and this event to gain notoriety, fame, money, whatever. When you see that happening, you know, Hillary Clinton said that, and a lot of the other elites said that you can use a tragic event to push your agenda further, you know. And of course, you know, that wasn't supposed to be so blatant, but we understand the underlying meaning of that. Chaos, then order. So this is the chaos that will bring forth the order of martial law, without a doubt. Next, the National Guard and all of that, they will seize the people's freedom. Okay? Ain't no telling how many brothers is out there, you know, on paper, and they'll be locked up. And then those that don't have a record will have one. And martial law will come and stay. See, that's the difference today. During the 67 riots, they declared martial law on Detroit. People were more savvy about some things, and, you know, more revolutionary about holding on to their freedom, so they couldn't stay. My old dude told me they were shooting back at the tanks, at the soldiers, rolling up and down Grand River, a major thoroughfare here in the D. So, again, we have to learn some things from history. Okay? The ending of rioting and looting, it never end good for the poor folks. But for the powers that be, they get more control over who is able to hold, who's able to carry. Okay? They get more gun control laws passed. They get more ability to police the people in closer quarters. That's what's fixing to happen. So let's not fall for the okie doke. Okay? Let's smell the smoke. When there's smoke, there's fire. Looked at a couple of things. I thought it was interesting that the boy's name was Brown. Again, you know, I'm just, you know, who am I? What do I know? I'm just a brother from the D. But I've seen some things before. We've talked about the name game, how the name game is played. Then, of course, you know, it's a racial thing. Even Jungle Surfer, you know, and you know, he does some good work, but I know he had to tread lightly because not being a person of color, there's certain things that if he were to say them, maybe how he felt them, they wouldn't be received. And I know, even being a person of color myself, this is a tricky trap, a sticky trap. So you got to tread lightly, okay? Because, you know, I don't know. Again, I've not done the research. If a boy by that name really existed, if certain things concerning the whole story were twisted, I don't know. But I've got a good feeling that it was. I've got a good feeling. Okay? Looking at the relationship of the supermoon to the event. What does the moon affect? Come on. Everybody knows that when the moon is full, they say people act badder. People be acting bad. They get to fooling. For years, people would talk about how the police department and the mental institution would both see increases in activity during the full moon. Full moon affects the tides, it affects women's cycles, and it affects people's emotions. And the supermoon, okay, has some relationship to when all of this has occurred and as it escalates. The moon is always out. Looked out this morning, I saw the moon as brightly as I did the sun. Yes, indeed. You know, you see the moon, it wasn't, of course, shining like it does at so-called night during the shadow hour, but it was quite visible. Quite visible. I should have took a picture of it. It's not usually that visible during the daytime, even when you do see it in the daytime. But today was a sunny day. I know many of you have heard about the bad storms in Detroit, and maybe I'll tack that on the end of this. But yes, I just wanted to look at a couple of things concerning the names. The other name that jumped out at me was the police chief's name. The St. Louis police chief, I believe, Belmar. Some of you is already on it. Sharp knives in the drawer, bright bulbs in the lamp. First of all, Brown, again, this is a race play. This is a black and white chessboard race play. So you have Brown, you have Michael. Jungle Surfer looked at some things. He saw the presence of the Boule, okay, leading the march. The black brotherhoods, the black Masonics being used, and the white Masonics is being used. What's the police department? The fraternal order of police. Fuck, that ain't just the side of the blackjack when it goes smack upside your head. The FOP, the FOP, the fraternal order of police, that's what they are. They are a brotherhood. But the two things that did jump out, and again, people that know or got some kin out there, you know, when you live close to a place, you know more about it than people that's outside. So that's why I am treading lightly, because until I hear from out there, you know, some people that really know some people who saw what really went down, and you know, it's going to remain dubious because it come through the news and they pumping it up. And then here come the black leadership, the NAACP. And I know that don't stand for Negroes, Animals, Apes, Coons, and Possums. I know some of y'all love to use the terms that white supremacists use on us, on each other. And if that ain't mind control 101 double think, I don't know what is. You know. And as far as, you know, people having beefs on here, you know, this ain't no place to beef. But you got keyboard courage. It's called being text tough, type tough. This ain't the place for beef, if it's really beef. So when I see any of that type of stuff going on, I say to myself, this is contrived. This is as fake as Kool Moe Dee versus Cool J. Okay? It's controlled opposition. One side representing this crowd. Okay? The other side representing this crowd. Okay? It's like the Biggie Pac East Coast West Coast rivalry, the East Coast West Coast rivalry that was found in the Black Panther movement. The same thing. Okay? One, you know, more shinier, and one, you know, not as shiny. Yeah, you know, Biggie representing the ugliness, New York. Yeah, Pac representing the beauty, the West Coast, LA. California. Okay, we know where he was really from, Marin. But I digress. My point is, you know, when you see certain things happening in the mainstream media, you can see reflections in the so-called underground media. YouTube is supposed to be the underground media. You got a lot of girl fights on there. When two girls is fighting, somebody supposed to come and break it up, okay, lest one of them get exposed. The longer they fight, the more exposed they become. Okay? So somebody should come soon and break up these little girl fights between folks that's supposed to represent maleness or manhood. And, you know, that's all I want to say about that. But let's look at, because that's lightweight jamming. Let's look at the name Belmar, and then we're going to be out of here for now. I will return with another lesson, with today's lesson, based on scripture, but on a very surprising scripture that I was turned on to by another man of God. We've talked about Mar a number of times. The meaning of Mar. Mar is war. Let me write it down. To mar something is to destroy it. We've talked about the M. M equals W. Okay? We've also talked about the meaning of Mars. Mars, the M equals W. Mars is supposed to be scarred by wars, we're told. Okay? To mar something is to destroy. War is to destroy. Destructive. Destruction. Death. Killing. Bell. Okay. You have the M, W dynamic in Bell Mar. So it's a Bell War. And who is Bell? It's Belle Isle here in Detroit. Okay. You have Ma Bell. But Bell is to represent, and you have Jab Alarm. This so-called sacred god that Masons, when they still really baby bears, are told is God's name. When in reality, once they cross that 33 degree and they get the heat or the light, they get the fire, they realize that Lucifer is their god. But up until that point, they'll deal with a three syllabled representation of one god. It's really three different ones: Jah, Bel, and On. And Bel is mentioned throughout the Bible as ball. It's where you get the word ball from. Even the basketball, playing b-ball. B-ball is the name of a demon. Many of the demon names, Bel is above, will have Bel in it. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Bel Mar. Again, we're looking at a demonic war. Okay. Bel, again, representing false god. Mar, representing war. Okay. You can't make this stuff up. You've got ISIS in the Middle East. You've got Bel Mar near St. Louis. And when I looked at St. Louis, again, I saw two names. And this is just a simple sample because I've not looked into the story the way I would to do a whole presentation on it. So 25 minutes is good. But again, when people are made saints, when the Catholic Church makes one a saint, you got to remember what the Catholic Church is really all about in reality. So when I look at Lewis, I see two names. Some of you got it already? Okay. Just like we looked at Israel, we saw three gods: Isis, Ra, and El. Israel. We can look at syllables and we can find the names of false gods. Always. The representation. So again, we have the personification of the enemy as male and Lucifer, and we have the personification of the enemy as female. You know, he goes both ways. As Isis, he goes both ways. That's why so many of the Brotherhood members get off into that. So again, when you see the people leading the marches, and when you see, you know, I'm sorry, you know, to my Moorish brothers, got a lot of good brothers that have stood by my side. They believe in the fairs. But when you're doing something that falls in line with what the enemy does, with what the elites do, and you know what they're about, there's no way that something good can be used for evil to the same degree. It's not possible. Not if it's holy. Not if an object is holy. Okay? So if it's really of the Creator, that one would wear affairs and be able to use all these magical powers and the tassel on top and all that it spins 360 and all that type of stuff. No. When you see that, that's a representation of the fact that the brotherhoods are involved. That represents the black side of the chessboard. Then on the other side, you have the white side of the chessboard, and they are to clash. It's part of the game. And from that clash should result a chaos, out of which the elite believe they can bring order. And that's what it's really about. That's what we're really looking at over there. So much love to you. I'm going to look into it some more. Maybe I'll have more to add on it on the next lesson, which I'm going to try to get up for you today. So much love and peace and blessings to you. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you lending an ear. And add on. All right, as you feel led to do, because again, like we've said before, we know what time it is. They want to see what we know and who know what and all of that. That's what YouTube is really all about at this stage in the game. And why do they want to know that? What they're going to do with that information? So again, do everything as led by the Spirit, not any spirit, the Holy Spirit. Unplug them in a minute. 1.